Coming up next on Geraldo, is rap music killing your kids?
It's not the rapper's fault that stuff happens at these concerts. It's the audience. The audience should know not to go to a concert with a gun.
9 kids are dead. When they're white, you get more police protection. You get more everything. People take better care of them than they do us.
I mean, you do this here. I'm finna argue with you. Now, you know what you just did? What you just did? You satisfied the whole white society. Here you are.
Warning. The program you are about to see contains material that some viewers may find objectionable. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the program. You, no matter where you live, I'm sure have heard about the tragedy here in New York City, what started as a benefit basketball game featuring rap stars, turning into the worst nightmare imaginable. Thousands of excited teenagers and other young people crushed into a suffocating heap at the bottom of a staircase at City College, leaving 9 dead and almost 30 others severely injured. Now, in the swirl of media attention, blame has shifted all over the map. You have college officials claiming that if they had known it was a rap event, they never would have allowed it because of the unruly crowds. But who was responsible? Was it the music itself and these crowds that rap draws? Was it inadequate police protection, negligence by the college, fraud on the part of the promoters, a crowd that some say behaved like a beast, even robbing the dead? We have some of the top rap stars in the country joining us to discuss this issue. They're on our panel. Before I introduce them, one point is obvious. No one feels the pain, the sorrow of this tragedy more than the families of the 9 young people who died. Joining us are the parents and relatives of 3 of the dead young people. Yul Dargan, a youngster, 24 years old, with his whole life in front of him. Leonard Nelson, just 17 years old. The kid was headed for glory. Captain of the football team, the baseball team, senior in high school with a full college tuition scholarship coming his way next year. Darren Brown, an aspiring rap artist himself, just 28 years old. The parents are in the front row. Before I introduce Luther Campbell, you'll know Young MC, Sister Souljah, and our other stars. Let me talk to the parents because, again, it is their story. Mr. and Mrs. Nelson, I just described Leonard's prospects. I wonder, in the midst of your loss, and believe me, ladies and gentlemen, we suffer, and to the extent that it is our ability to do so, we feel your pain. But what a loss, what a terrible loss, a 17-year-old kid heading to the stars. Do you feel bitterness in your heart, Mr. Nelson? Do you blame someone specifically? Who's responsible for this loss?
Well, everybody's responsible, from the promoters to the university, to the police department, to the paramedics. It's enough blame to go around. None of them did their job. None of them. No excuses. None of them did their job. And because of that, 9 kids are dead.
What about the feeling, and I've seen this expressed in the Associated Press and elsewhere, that the crowd itself became a beast that was consuming itself, bum-rushing the door, crushing other youngsters without regard for the safety of the people in front?
True, but the promoters, they knew this would happen, or they knew it was a good chance something like this would have happened, and they supposed to took every precaution necessary to make sure if something did happen like this, they would be prepared for it, but they didn't.
What about rap music itself? Do you think the music form is inherently kind of geared toward generating violence?
In a way, but it shouldn't be banned because all you have to do is take the proper precautions to make sure things like this don't happen. You know how a black kid's going to act once they get together, and all these celebrities that's going to be there, they want to see them, they look up to them. So it's their responsibility to make sure that there's proper security there and these things don't happen, because there's a chance that something's going to happen. They know this.
Do you think, and this is a very controversial point, I want you to really listen to my question very carefully. Do you think that black youngsters behave differently than white youngsters in a crowd?
No, I don't. I don't think they do. If you put a bunch of white kids together, something's going to happen, but just that when they're white, you get more police protection. You get more everything. People take better care of them than they do us.
Christina Brown, Darren's mom. Darren wanted to be in this rap music. I mean, how are you coping, first of all, with this tragedy?
Well, I'm having a very difficult time because Darren was my only child. And he was my friend, my buddy, there when I needed him, and I just miss him so, and I just think it's just so unfair.
Do you have anger in your heart?
No. At first I did. I was angry with, I had read that Mike Tyson was there.
He was. The former heavyweight champion of the world was, in fact, in the auditorium with some of the rap stars.
And then I was annoyed, and I had quoted in the newspapers that since he was Mike Tyson, I felt that he could have tried to control the crowd, try to do something, but he left. So I was angry with him.
Are you angry with the other young people attending, people who did terrible things? Was it, Mr. Nelson, was it your son who was robbed? His body was robbed?
No, because we haven't received none of his possessions back. His clothes, his wallet, nothing. We haven't received anything back from him yet.
Were you angry at the crowd?
He was robbed. Yes, I know for...
His dead body was robbed?
Yes. He had a camera, and it hurts me because he was with his daughter since Christmas Eve and up until the night he died. And he had a camera, and there was film in the camera, and I wanted the film to remember. But I spoke to the police at the 26th precinct. I spoke to the medical examiners, and at this point they don't know where it is. So I'm angry about that. I wish, even though this is hindsight, I wish the crowd would have controlled themselves. If everyone would have just kept calm and perhaps backed out, it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. I was on the steps at City Hall where I first met Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh, one of the rap stars here.
I know them, and I call him Doogie Fresh. Anyway, when he told me, well, I was listening to what had happened. My heart went out to him. And what he said was confirmed by someone that was inside the gym.
What'd he say? Or maybe he'll tell us what he said. Go ahead, Doc.
Oh, you want me to tell you now?
Yeah.
She was talking. I'd rather let her finish talking first.
And when you ask about anger, I can only go by what's in the newspapers and what's on television. It's kind of been a fog, so many people around me. But I feel that there should have been sufficient crowd control, security. I read that the EMS didn't respond right away.
The emergency services.
Right. The police, they wouldn't come in to help. And all of this, I don't understand. It's...
I like to send out my feelings to all of the families, the 3 families that are here, and the other 6 families that are not here. I was at the event. I was just there to see what was going down. I wasn't on the card. I wasn't there to perform. I was just there to support it because it was an AIDS benefit. And in our communities, we don't have too many positive things that's going on for the young brothers and sisters in our areas. So I wanted to make sure that I was there to support a situation like this. When I seen that it was getting out of control, I think it was the power of God. And I also think that it's just the love that I have for my people that made me go up to the microphone and assist this situation in whatever way that I could. So I had people call for the ambulance, 911, and do CPR, and I did the best that I could possibly do.
He stayed on the microphone for 3 hours. He mobilized help. When almost everybody else involved can be faulted, if there is a hero in this tragedy, I think Dougie Fresh is it. Our last father and mother here, Kemp and Yvonne Dargan, their son Yule, 24 years old. I want to read you something, parents, and I want you to respond to me. It's a poem I just got this from an Associated Press story on this tragedy, but it's a poem that was written by someone who signed his name Carome, and it was mounted on the broken glass window of the City College auditorium. Mourning the loss of, now I'll quote, young, strong, powerful, precious African lives. Lives taken not by enemies, not by flawed security, but by us who didn't look out for each other, by us who didn't think about the African lives at the bottom of the stairs. Do you blame the crowd itself at all for the loss of Huel?
I don't know who to blame. I wasn't there. I can only go by what I saw on television and what was told to me. But I felt that maybe they could have controlled themselves in a better way, especially on a stairway. A stairway is very unsafe, and I just felt that if the doors were open, that the children would have been able to go inside. It would have been better for them to run wild inside than to be trampled and falling down a stairway.
How do you feel about the fact that Huel was even attending a rap concert? Does it scare you? Did it scare you when he went to these kinds of events?
Well, actually, Huel was there for the basketball in particular. Huel is not a rapper. Huel he's a basketball lover.
So if you had known, do you think he would have attended?
Well, I think he would have, because but the main event was the ball game.
The ball game in which the rap stars were the featured attraction. All right, let me get to these rap stars, some of whom I'm sure are familiar to all of you, even if you don't particularly like rap music. Luther Campbell, for one, is a man who has commanded headlines across this country. Luther, the center of the Group 2 Live crew. Remember when he was arrested last year for performing songs that were deemed obscene? Now, Luther, is it your feeling that the media tends to blow rap violence out of proportion?
Oh, yeah, they blow it totally out of proportion. I mean, you know, you have things like this happen all the time. I mean, you know, rock concerts, every time they have a rock concert, they toting bodies out of there. I mean, they toting people out of there that have been injured all day. I mean, they don't get this type of attention. Rap, you know, they've been trying to press us and push us in the back to the point where now, you know, mostly all rappers have to go back to where they started at in clubs and all this. And so what that does is you have a whole lot of people trying to see an artist in a small venue when we can't go into a big venues anymore because of the insurance. I mean,
But let me ask you, and you and I have talked about this before, don't you think that the lyrics do, in some cases, and some of your songs are among the, I don't want to say offenders, I don't want to be that judgmental, but aren't they provocative? Aren't your lyrics provocative to the point where they can incite violence?
No, not mine. I mean, you know, you gotta, it's just like going to see Schwarzenegger, Terminator. You think everybody's gonna start turning to Terminator and start shooting everybody in the movie. You know, it's a form of entertainment. People take it out of context. You know, people take it out of context. I mean, you know, it's entertainment, and that's what it is. I mean, you gotta leave it as entertainment. I mean, you know, a lot of guys talk about shooting in their music. People just don't say, okay, somebody told me to shoot. I did shooting in a record, I'm gonna start shooting.
Let me introduce Sister Souljah. I'm gonna skip over Young MC, the Grammy Award winner, just for a second. I want to introduce Sister Souljah, who feels that rappers should take responsibility for the messages they send out. Before I ask you, Souljah, to respond or to expand on that, I want to show a clip from your latest song. It's already moving up the charts. Looks like it's going to be a hit. But I want everyone at home to look at, and if it's a 5-minute song, I'm only going to show 20, 30 seconds of it, but it is a provocative 20 or 30 seconds. I want the audience, both here in the studio and at home, to check this out. Okay, roll it, Jimbo. Here's Sister Souljah's latest. I'll show you more of the song, and that is obviously the most inflammatory part of the song. Souljah, I want you to respond. Let me take a commercial break first. Sister Souljah speaks next. Give us 2 minutes. Rap. Riot.
I've always thought the daily newspaper is about the best value there is, but this is even better. Subscribe to the Chicago Tribune for 26 weeks of 7-day home delivery, and you get Sundays for free. I mean, it's free.
My advice is Call 1-800-443-4100 and get this relationship moving. Don't miss out and be sorry later.
Get 26 weeks of the Tribune for just $2.10 a week and Sundays free. Charge it on Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. Call 1-800-443-4100.
You get the best local, national, and international news, features, and sports, columnists, and comics. Plus, you're saving almost 40% off the newsstand price. So just call.
My Sundays are free. It's in my contract. You deserve the same deal. Call them on it.
Call 1-800-443-4100.
This morning's Geraldo has an adult theme and is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Sister Souljah, you should know, is educated at Cornell University and at Rutgers University. She's a very intelligent woman, aside from being talented, but Souljah, were those lyrics unnecessarily provocative?
No, I think my lyrics represent truth. What that particular video is about is America in 1995. And if you listen carefully to the video, Duke is the vice president. And interestingly enough, I made this song prior to him announcing that he was going to run. So what this video shows is a magnification of racism in America and what will happen to African people in America and throughout the world if we are not totally aware of our enemies, the government, the policies that it sets that directly affect and keep African people oppressed throughout the entire universe.
Don't you think that that kind of point of view, so pessimistic, so extreme, would only, in an impressionable 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, make them feel that the whole world is against them?
You have to ask yourself, what is the alternative? You say that it's extreme, but poverty in our community is extreme. Drugs being placed in our community is extreme. Racism is extreme. Anytime you look at a situation where thousands and thousands of young people come out to one basketball game because of lack of opportunity, lack of the ability to utilize their creative skills, lack of other places to go, lack of development of their minds, lack of self-esteem. These are things that your society and its systems, its educational systems are supposed to teach to young people. But when you create an explosion when you do not discuss effectively racism and the impact that it has on our children.
Was it racism that caused the ripple through that crowd, let's bum rush the door? Was that racism that caused that?
I think the present mind state of young black people in New York City, in Los Angeles, Detroit, all over throughout this country is a reflection of a racist institution. You see, because in a racist institution, you have people that are denied opportunities to know who they are and understand who they are and have self-esteem. So wait a minute. So what happens is, look, if I'm taught to love myself, and I come to a gymnasium and I see it's overcrowded, it's overbooked, I see that something may happen. If I love myself enough and I don't put rap artists and other people on pedestals as gods because I don't understand the beauty within my own self, I might stay there. But if I have a total understanding of who I am, how beautiful I am as a person, how valuable I am as a person, I'll say, oh, this looks like it might be a problem because it's overcrowded. That's common sense. Let me go home.
Grammy Award-winning Young MC feels that while rap is the rebellious form of music, it's parents who should take more responsibility, among others, for controlling the behavior of their kids. Young, let me ask you a question. Would you ever write that slavery was back? Would you ever write, would you ever have in your video someone loading a machine gun with the president, a mock president's voice playing in the background?
Put it like this, whether I do it or not is not the question. I don't condemn it. You know what I'm saying? I do the type of music that I like to do. Whether mine is more subdued than Sister Souljah's or Luke's, that's not the question. I feel that anyone should have the right to put out whatever music they like. And if someone buys a questionable record or watches a questionable video and is influenced by that, that says more about the people who buy it than the people who make it.
Luther, would you let your son listen to Souljah's video, watch the video, or listen to the record?
Yeah, I have daughters. I don't have sons.
All right.
Well, I would, and what I would do is I would take the video and educate her with it. You know, I'll say, hey, this is what's right and this is what's wrong. You know, because, see, that's the problem with it. You know, a lot of people don't want white kids listening to what Sister Souljah is talking about, different other rappers are talking about, because we're talking basically from the streets, from where we're at. They don't want them to hear the type of music and how we're brought up and what we're thinking on our minds. They don't want to hear that. So they don't want the white kids to hear. They don't want us to be able to go in venues where it can hold all these people and be able to...
Would you let your daughter listen to your music?
The clean version.
We'll be right back. Rap, racism, riot, the rap on rap, the focus of this edition of Geraldo.
Adult theme and is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
This here's a jam for those who be sexting. See a girl come up and then you start flexing. Doing what you can for the one night stand, but gee, you gotta see you take your life in your hand. Now it's all well and good that she doesn't ignore you, but you just stop and think who she was with before you. She's fine, so you weren't the first to spot her, and if you do it, I see it,
Young MC, Grammy Award-winning rap performer. We invited in this section, here, Fred, give me a shot of this section, not everybody in this section, but many of the people, actually scattered throughout the audience, young people who attend rap or have attended rap concerts. Raise your hand. If you, now, how many of you have ever been frightened away from a rap concert because of anything? All right, let me just go ask some people. Raise your hands, don't be afraid. All right, yeah, stand please. Tell me the circumstances briefly.
Well, I've never been frightened away from one, but I've been frightened to attend one initially, to go. And now, because of what's happened at City College, I really hesitate to ever go again.
Yes.
I don't understand why she would be afraid to attend a rap concert. What happened at this college is not because of rap itself. It has something to do with people crowded. It has nothing to do with rap. Why would you be afraid to go to a rap concert?
Terrence Newell, come out. I know I got a straight answer from Terrence. Terrence is on our staff. He's just 17 years old. As you can see, he's big enough to take care of himself. He's an honor student, incidentally, headed to college with a full paid scholarship. He's really going places. But doesn't your mom object, or don't you feel threatened sometimes at these rap concerts?
Well, I used to go a lot when I was younger, and I don't...
17 when he was younger, right? What does that make me, the old man on the mountain?
I went to one, it happened to be in a park, and it was a shootout. So my mom is like kind of nervous about me going, and I was going to go to the one at City College. And
you were going to go to that?
Yeah, I was going to go, and one of my friend's parents asked me not to go, but I was backstage, so I don't know who said it. I believe it was her. She made a point, you shouldn't be afraid to go to the rap concerts if everyone that goes doesn't carry a gun or a knife, you know, then nobody would have to be afraid to go. You see, and I think that's the point. It's not the rapper's point. I mean, it's not the rapper's fault that that stuff happens at these concerts. It's the audience. The audience should know not to go to a concert with a gun. There's no need to go to a concert with a gun. You're going to listen to music, and I think that's what you should do.
Okay. All right. Before we get too far into this rap on rap, Luther made a point that rock and roll, at least the edges of it, has often been associated with violence. We put together a brief history package of some of the more notorious, relatively recent events. Why don't we run that right now, Jim?
Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting? We need a doctor by that scaffold there. If there's a doctor, can he get to there?
December 1969, the Rolling Stones perform at the Altamont Speedway in California. This free love concert climaxed tragically when Hell's Angels, hired as security guards, knifed to death a black man who had allegedly pulled a gun out near the stage. 10 years later, 11 fans died in a stampede to see the rock group The Who.
I think the problem lies with trying to channel 17,000 people through 3 entrances. I mean, there is no way you're not going to have trouble. And when you've got, say, 4,000 people at one entrance pushing toward, they can't see that kids up the front are on the floor. That's what's happened, and none of this is going to bring anybody back either. I mean, we just feel shattered.
The high-energy music industry isn't alone in attracting rowdy crowds. sporting events, too, can be catalysts for violence, as this 1985 soccer match was between England and Italy, where 38 die-hard fans were killed. 200 more were injured. More recently, movie houses have also turned into houses of horror. During last year's showing of The Godfather 3, a packed audience fled for their lives as the violence on screen exploded into a real gunfight in the seats. One young boy lost his life. Across the country, the film New Jack City with rap artist Ice-T spawned a crowd of moviegoers that wreaked havoc when the movie ended, leaving people injured and shops vandalized.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction, it really ain't the rap audience that's bugging.
Rap climbed the music charts. Rap concerts sold out, and music promoters became wary of staging concerts in big cities like New York. They feared violence and mayhem would result from the aggressive crowds that fill the audiences of rap concerts.
There's going to be tight security up here. It's going to be no problems. Everything is organized. The problem before with the college thing, it was unorganized. People were in line that didn't have a ticket with people that had a ticket. That's what the problem was. But everything tonight, it's going to be safe. It's going to be fun.
He just fell on the floor. We fell in the corner, right? That's when I seen the man, he just fell down, and all the people just stampeded over him. Now after that, trying to get away from the guy with the gun. And all the people running under the bleachers and everywhere, right? And I turned around, look, the guy died right next to me. He just laying dead.
He'd been stomped?
He had been stomped to death. Blood was all over.
Nah, negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Today, rap music is the center of such tragic events where youthful energy takes over and leaves 9 families mourning the deaths of their children.
We don't throw functions for people to get killed or to be injured. We throw functions to make money, to raise money, and for people to have fun.
There was one person, at least one person, who predicted that the City College concert/basketball game would result in disaster. Van Silk is a, a rap promoter who called the New York Daily News before the event. I lost my voice. I was rapping during the commercial break. Now, Van, Van Silk, how did you know that that was going to end up violently?
Experience, by being in the business since rap first started in '73. I mean, I have to owe it to this man sitting here over here, Africa Bambaataa.
Where's he?
Who
Stand, please.
Initially started rap music. We got to understand that rap has been closed.
What did you tell the Daily News? Tell me specifically, what did you say?
Trying to get a message out to the kids to come in peace, you know, because we haven't had big events in New York besides the last one I did at the Ritz in October. And rap hasn't been in any big venues. So when you bring in something with all the nature of the stars that's going to come here during a holiday period, the kids want to go out to see them because they don't have a chance to see them but on MTV or BET. And the bottom line is, you know, rap music is taking a pretty bad beating because of the fact that people don't tend to listen to it. They downgrade it because it was started in the black ghettos and it's making billions of dollars, and they trying to take it out of our hands. The majority of promoters out here that are doing these big venue concerts are white promoters.
Not so in the City College case.
But the City College kid was lack of experience. You know, bottom line is, everyone is to blame in this.
Okay, wait a second. Is everyone to blame? It's easy to say that. Society, everyone's to blame. Everybody. But wait a second. You called the Daily News because you felt that this particular event, because of a pent-up demand or whatever, was going to result in a tragedy. You said it. Did you say it because you knew that rap and violence are inextricably interwoven?
It's not that. It's not rap and violence. It's the chemical imbalance of a lot of these rap fans who don't have respect for the work that these rappers are doing. A lot of rap
chemical imbalance?
Yes. I mean, when I'm talking about drugs, kids that don't believe in rappers, believe in what they're saying, the hard work that we put into this music. Okay, you can have 30 or 40 kids that just want to come there to rob somebody.
Speaking of which, I want you to take a shot of Mr. and Mrs. Dargan. It was their son who was robbed. I mean, aside from Christina's son, Darren, their son was robbed. You know how they found out? His dead body was robbed. They found out when they got a call on a charge that was made for over $100. Was it at a restaurant? What was it? Is that a restaurant? All right. And Mrs. Dargan said to the caller, "My son didn't make that charge. My son is dead." There is, I remember when they were smashing Beatles records. I remember when rock and roll was being associated with the devil. The Rolling Stones didn't play Symphony for the Devil for 15 years after that Altamont tragedy. Avant-garde music is often put down with all the negatives in society. Rap music now bears that cross. But it's not just society that's to blame. Some specific responsibility has to be not only on the parents of the children themselves, and the artists, I think. That's my opinion for what it's worth.
Well, the bottom line
Yeah,
is...
you can all talk in 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Parental discretion is advised.
Luther Campbell, 2 Live Crew. Yes.
How can you say that has no effect on society? You are the most disrespectful brother I've ever seen. Period. How can, peace to Sister Souljah, peace to all of you people up here who are trying to do the positive thing. That is wrong. And Terminator does have an effect on the mentality of people. Like this brother said, how this brother said here, you have to talk about how it's not going to happen again. How are you going to affect the mind state of the people so it doesn't happen again?
That's what they want you to think.
Okay,
see, you don't understand life.
The young crowd is very hostile mentally right now. How are you going to change it? It's your job to change it. You're in the media, you're in the public eye.
Now you know what you just did? You know what you just did?
We can't do it.
Know what you just did? You satisfied the whole white society. When you are... That's what they just did. You don't understand. You don't understand. They can go slam dance. They can go slam dance and slam dance and beat each other's brains. You ain't got no sense. You playing in their hands.
It's Jim.
You playing in their hands.
I'm doing what the white man wants.
You playing in their hands.
You're doing what the white man wants.
You playing in their hands.
You're doing what the white
You
man
are playing in their hands. You are doing. Hey, let me tell you something. Hold. Let me talk to this lady here. Let me talk to her.
My name is Jim Garfield from Tight Security Incorporated. I've done hundreds of rap shows without incident. I haven't heard one person on this panel say how they're going to remedy this from ever happening again. All right? There has to be an industry standard set. The ratio of security men to patrons patrons that attend these type of events. Okay.
What do you think is an acceptable ratio?
The acceptable ratio is every 30 patrons, 1 security person, qualified security person from a licensed, bonded, and insured security company.
Let me ask you this. At the City College concert, to the extent that you know, Jim, what was the ratio?
Probably about 200 to 1, 300 to 1. And this has to be noted. The police department is only there to supplement the security provided by the promoter and the venue. They are rendered totally not affected by the non-existent fact of security that was supplied by the venue.
Okay. I'm going to quickly poll the guests, starting with Luther. You have any problem with that 30 to 1 ratio?
No. See, the thing is, what they need to do is let us back in the bigger venues and stop.
But with a 30 to 1 ratio right now.
No, I don't have a problem.
Young MC?
I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but the montage you showed had everything from soccer to rock concerts to everything, and I would assume at a couple of those they had 30 to 1 and things still happen. It is not our job to say it will never happen again. We can try our best in our shows to make sure that it never happens again, but it's not our job to do it because it's, you can't give an absolute with it. It's unfortunate what happened.
Let me take a commercial break and we'll continue the discussion.
For audiences, parental discretion is advised.
This is all about, no doubt, to stop violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence. Swing. Things been stated, re-educated, evaluated. Thoughts of the past have faded. The only thing left is the memories of our belated. And I hate it when someone dies to get all hurt up for a silly gold chain by a chump.
Dougie Fresh, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the only man who can be said to have been or have behaved heroically. How do you fix it? Here, first of all, John, just back up. Give me a shot of the mourning parents one more time. I don't want anyone to forget what the show's supposed to be about, and I want to devote the rest of the show to making sure that what happened to their children never happens again. Dougie Fresh, how do you fix it?
Well, to bring it back to what the show is established on, and that is the incident at City College and the families that's suffering from this situation. I feel that in reference to security, I believe that you cannot say that you can take one person and have them for 30 people, because 30 people can knock down one person, regardless of how big and bad the security guard is.
But 30 to 1 is better than the ratio in a prison.
But let me explain to you what I'm saying. I'm saying that in reference to security, I believe that the promoter should have the type of security that's necessary, whether it be 100, whether it be 75, whether it be 80, 150. It's their responsibility to make sure that they have the proper security. I think the college is supposed to have proper security. Now, I believe that the police department, if they're on standby and if they're there, and if they see an incident go down, they don't owe it to the rap artists or anybody as far as the entertainers on the inside only. They owe it to all of you out here. They owe it to all our children, everybody there, to take advantage of that situation and make sure that if they see something happening on the outside, they do their job, because these people here pay taxes and the whole nine, and I feel like they should not have to suffer just based on somebody saying it wasn't proper security, because if there's people there. My last point is, if the cops are there, I believe that they should take care of that situation because they're there. That's what I believe.
I want to get to Sister Souljah to ask you your advice. Before I do, one point I have to make. City College, like virtually every other university in the land, is private property. The cops have no right to go unless invited, unless, as Dougie says, they see a crime or something happening. So you can't blame the cops, at least in the first instance. Maybe they responded too slow here, I don't know.
I was there. They was outside and they didn't do anything. They was in the front.
Souljah, how do you fix this? Let me just say this. The gap between rich and poor is horrible and getting worse. The gap between white and black is horrible and getting worse. The socioeconomic conditions in this country is horrible, it's getting worse. Given all that as a given, no one disputes that. How do you fix this particular problem? How do you save these particular parents from having to go through this kind of thing again?
I don't think that anybody can guarantee that this won't happen again. And I don't think that we can say that it's given that all of those factors exist. Because the one thing that I see even with this show is that we never effectively deal with white racism, which impacts on every level. Now, the thing that's important to understand, at City College, those doors do not push inward, which is one of the reasons why those kids were stuck in that corridor. But City College services black students, which is why it's built in an improper fashion. It is retarded to have a gymnasium where the doors do not work properly when you're going to have thousands of kids inside of that venue. That's the first thing. It's undeniable. You might not want to deal with it, but it's undeniable. The second thing, the police were called. They came approximately 45 minutes later.
I don't know if that's the case.
That
I have an attorney here. Get a shot of Mark Manis. Is that true?
My point is that the police have to be held responsible for serving the public, even in the black community.
Okay, go. Mark Manis from Harry Lipsky's office. I represent a couple of the families in the civil suits that are following here. Two things. First of all, the college can certainly not escape responsibility by pointing to some kids, students, and saying, oh, we left it to them. They can also point to the promoters. And third, I've heard a lot about black and white. All those kids who died down there, their lungs were the same color as mine, and they're dead. And if I'd been down there, I'd be dead too.
I've got to take a break. Go for a break.
Mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
The rap on rap, our focus. Yes.
Everyone says that the whole violence issue comes with the rappers and the black people, but I was in a concert, a Grateful Dead concert in Albany, New York, and there was so much violence. There was no deaths or anything, but it's the same thing there.
There was violence among the audience.
Yes, and there weren't a lot of black people there. It was mostly, from what I could see, white people, and it happens everywhere.
That the air was thick with marijuana smoke.
No, everyone says that.
Bottom line. Two quick points. Luther, first of all, well, I think that's a valid point. But would you let your daughter listen to, watch that video that we saw the clip from, with Luke written on the breast of the woman, etc.?
That's on TV.
But would you let your daughter?
Do you see that kind of stuff on TV? Have you ever been to a movie?
Let me get our soldiers.
Hold on, have you ever been to a movie and seen anything like that?
Who, me? No, not me.
Oh, okay.
Stand and introduce
well,
yourself.
we have plenty of movies now, you know.
Oh, and Souljah, one other point I got to make for the record. When City College was open, City College was almost all white. You know why I know? Because I was rejected from City College.
What is it now? Geraldo, what is it now? What is it now?
Mostly black and Hispanic.
Okay, let's remember that.
But the architecture is real.
This issue is the most serious issue of our day. It's really not about a mob out of control, but self-control. It's about self-respect. And I think it is absolutely asinine to blame any kind of music, whether it's rap or whether it's Bach, Beethoven, boogie, rap. That's not really the issue. The issue is that we have to appeal to our young people to control themselves and not panic. Learn how to deal with adversity. Learn how to fight the good fight. What is most disturbing to me is I went to Mrs. Brown's house. I watched a young lady, regal, supreme, very concerned about the loss of her child, her only child. I have a 15-year-old son. I'm the father. He is my nation. And what I am most concerned about is that we not blame music. The music is not the message. The message is self-respect, self-control, love for your people. And quite frankly, I have to say on the scene today, there's one guy who's been speaking out on this issue. That's Reverend 911, fighting for justice. That's Reverend Al Sharpton.
Okay. We'll be right back. Take a break.
Promotional fee has been provided by...
At last, Alpine Lace, fat-free and low cholesterol singles made with real cheese. You mean I can eat cheese products again? New, free and lean.
In the minute I have left, one group I want to point out to you, rap fans, all from Queens Outreach. It's a high school here in the 5 boroughs. The young people are here. Okay. All right. On Arsenio, you can bark. Here, no barking. All right. Young MC, give us some hope. Is it self-respect? Is it self-esteem?
It's all of that. It's kind of...
Is it parents? Is it kids? What is it?
It's all of it. It's all of it. All right? To me, you can't look at something that happens just because something happened at a rap event and blame rap for it. These things happen at a lot of different types of events, and it depends on how the people are who get there. This could have been a blues concert that something happened to. I mean, depending on who was there. And that's really the bottom line. I grieve greatly for these people. I definitely do. And one point I want to make is that even though everybody was telling us that it wasn't going to be us, you know, on one side that polarized against the family, that's the way we're sitting here. You know what I'm saying? We have nothing.
That's not the intention, and that is absolutely not the way. I don't think the parents.
With us on one side and
as
on
we
another,
show the video from the Darren Brown, Yule Dargan. These are the Leonard Nelson, the families who are here, and there are the other 6 families also. That was not the intention. Parents gathered here. Our heartfelt sympathy to you. Really, your loss is irreplaceable, but please know that regardless of how anyone feels on any of the issues discussed here today, we grieve for you. As Young MC said, we grieve for you. We hope that the rest of your lives can heal this terrible wound. And thank you very much for being in our studio. I know how tough it was for you. For our rap star...